What's up, y'all? You're tuning in to the Dedicated Podcast.
Hello everyone, bonjour à tous. I hope you are well. So today I am back for an episode in English. So that's my second one after the one I recorded with Mike, aka I Attraction. And today from Washington DC, because I'm here for my US tour, I have Eden with me. Eden, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for accepting the invite. Thank you for giving us the time to have a little conversation. So we'll be speaking about a lot of things. But first of all, so you're the founder, creator of Black Foodie.
Mm-hmm.
And in your description, it says, or on the Black Foodie IG page, it says exploring food and culture through a Black lens.
Yes.
What does it mean?
It means that we celebrate all of the amazing things about our food and do it in our own special way. So I love to celebrate where Black food comes from, all the different types of ways that we create food across the diaspora, from, West Africa to East Africa to, African Americans to Caribbean folks. Mm-hmm. We all make really good food, and there are quite a few similarities between us. So I like to celebrate that.
Mm-hmm. What was so obviously we come from the same culture. So the first African food that you had, I believe, is injera, mm-hmm. and everything that is from our culture. What was the first African dish that you had outside our culture? Do you remember?
Yeah, actually I do. Now that the first one I remember was, or I remember clearly, was when I was in college and I went to school in Michigan, and in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and there weren't that many Black people, but the ones that were there many of them were international students from Nigeria, mm-hmm. and Ghana, and the food on campus was terrible. Oh my gosh, it was every single white stereotype you can think of. It had no flavor. It was so bad. The lunch ladies used to tell me, no. Like when I'd come in to choose food, I ate cereal all year, cereal and waffles. So anyways, there was one student that made this like red stew. She was Nigerian, with chicken and rice. And they had Indomie. Indomie is not Nigerian at all, but it's been adopted by Nigerians, like a noodle, and gari, and they would have that with like ice, and that was my first experience that I remember was Nigerian food.
And you liked it?
I loved it, actually. I loved it the first time. The second time, which was also on that college campus, I had egusi, and I was like, this is not for me. But funny enough, now I love egusi. So I don't know if it was the person that made it or if I didn't have the palate for it then, but now mm-hmm. I do really enjoy it.
Everything develops and comes with time, yeah. So yeah, it was a nice way to discover, and I'm pretty sure then after that you went into a long journey discovering all the differences the Black food had. But my next question is just to have a background. Growing up, were you very curious, and did you like cooking or not at all?
I think I was a curious person, but I didn't really cook. Mm-hmm. I watched my mom and I watched my grandma, but and they were really amazing, mm-hmm. At cooking great food, but they didn't really give me tasks. Like, the same way people are like, oh yeah, I was in my grandma's kitchen. Like my grandma was cooking and I was like poking in, and I used to, for Habesha, for Ethiopian Eritrean holidays, they always bring a lamb, mm-hmm. especially Easter and, or, some big event, wedding. So they would go to a farm in Canada. My dad would take me I was a little kid and I would choose the lamb with my sister and it was so fun. And they would, bring it skinned like an entire lamb, the tongue hanging out. And me and my sister used to just like go and try to poke at it and like dare each other like, oh, look at that. So I had a connection to the food. I understood like you took a whole lamb, you used every single part of it. I understood the process of making injera, but did I play a role in it? No, I didn't. I was young.
A few seconds ago, we spoke about the first African dish that you had. We said that your business, the Black Foodie business, the description was saying exploring food and culture through a black lens. Between that moment at the university and the IG page, what brought you from this point A to point B, which is creating that page?
So funny thing is I downloaded Instagram so I could edit photos to post on Facebook. Back in the day,
they had those very old filters.
Yeah. And then I ended up moving back to Canada. I transferred to a university in Toronto. I didn't like how it was not very diverse where I was going to school. So I went to Toronto. I studied sociology, and I graduated, and I was looking for a job. I was struggling. And then I got into this like fellowship program that was really different. And it wasn't like a regular school program. It was this investment by the Canadian government in young people and getting them to explore entrepreneurship. So that was the first time that I ever like considered like, oh, maybe I could have my own business. And it was something I was like really curious about. And then I had my birthday in January. I went out to eat to this Italian restaurant, and they were so racist. They were so whack. And I was so angry about how that night went, about how I was treated. I just felt disrespected. But the thing that I was probably the most angry about that evening was that I didn't think about celebrating my birthday or any special occasion at a Black restaurant. I didn't consider it. I was like, oh no, and I was like, why am I thinking like that? That's crazy. Because at that time, for the most part, I had like stopped straightening my hair. I had, was really trying to like find my identity and really be proud of being Black in Canada. But I didn't change the way I looked at food. And so that was when I made a Facebook status, and I talked about how angry I was and how I felt the restaurant was. And then a bunch of people messaged me telling me, yeah, something like that happened to me too at another place. And Toronto's a very diverse city. So there's a lot of Black people in Toronto. So it was when I was getting these stories coming in, it was kind of, one, it was disturbing, but two, some of the advice that I got was even more upsetting because people would tell me how to basically not react, or like would tell me, oh, you got to make sure you dress up nice, you got to make sure you put your wallet or your purse down so they know you're going to pay, or like this is crazy, but this is almost 10 years ago now, because I can't imagine somebody telling me this now. But it just got me thinking like, no, that's whack. Let's see about us. Let's go to our own restaurants. Let's support our own businesses. So I started having like pop-up events, and eventually that's how Black Foodie began. But I did not have a proper business plan, and I was very broke for a while.
And is it a lot of African or Black restaurant in Toronto?
Yes. Okay. I think Toronto's interesting. There are quite a few Caribbean restaurants, because Toronto has a huge Caribbean community, but also has a huge Ethiopian community, huge West African community, huge Eritrean community. So there are restaurants that have popped up. There are whole neighborhoods where you could just get injera or, Caribbean food. But I don't think like people had an understanding or maybe appreciation of the food the same way that I think now has begun.
Yeah, I have that feeling sometimes. When I go to Eritrean or Ethiopian restaurant, I just go because, I don't know, it's my uncle's restaurant, or it's not because I want, well, now maybe it is, but it wasn't because I wanted to support my community, etc. Yeah. And now obviously it changed with time, but I totally get what you mean here. So this event that happened to you obviously started an idea maybe for a business. From that point, what were the steps that you took, and what did you have in mind at that moment when you wanted to start this page?
So at that time, I think I just knew that there was an issue here, and I knew that it bothered me and I wanted to like change something.
Okay.
But I didn't really have like a proper idea of how this could be a business or how this could play out for me. And some of the things that I do now didn't even exist then. Like it wasn't like TikTok did not exist in 2015. You know what I mean? So there are things like I just didn't know what I didn't know. At that time, I wasn't even making videos. I was just, well, I was some, but I was mostly like posting photos from restaurants. But I first started by having events. So I had these like meetups at restaurants. I didn't really make much money, but it was the beginning of the event.
What were those meetups about? It was like just gathering people, gathering friends, or get to discover that specific restaurant, or?
Yes. So initially I started with, the two things that were closest to me, Jamaican food and Ethiopian food. So I had like in Toronto, they had this big festival called Caravana. And a lot of people come to celebrate the Caribbean Carnival. There's a lot of parties. And I hosted a brunch at one of my favorite restaurants. And I saw then, okay, people like coming to these things, like people like events. And then I did something called Injera and Chill, like just like a fun meetup at Habesha restaurants. And then I made it into like a day party. And I would like make a deal with a venue and, but all of these things were not really profitable, but they kind of were giving me confirmation that I had a good idea. And they also got me some buzz. Like people started to recognize what I was doing and follow me online. And I started getting on like Canadian media platforms. Yeah. And then when I would do this in the US, I think it also just helped introduce me to the food scene and people there, like in Washington, D.C., now that I'm here now. That was also one of the first cities because I had family here. I'd come here and do events.
But, well, you just said it smoothly like this, but how did you move from doing a few events in Canada to the US? Was it something that was just logical? Because to me, it's just moving to going to another country to throw an event. So how did this idea come, or was it your family here that told you, oh, you should do this here? I
think it was because my life already was always split between Canada and the US. I'm from a border city and in Canada. Yeah. So I'm right across from Detroit. I went to college in Michigan. And then having so many friends and family in the U.S., I had a free place to stay. So I was like, in Atlanta, let's do something in Atlanta. I'm in D.C., let's do something in D.C. And I actually, my cousin helped me out, especially back in the day. I literally had like these focus groups. I went and I invited her friends and I was like, so where do you go to eat? Are you vegan? What made you decide as a Black Howard student, like a young Black student, to at Howard to become vegan? I just asked some questions, and I was getting all this information from people. The thing was, I was really broke. I want to be for real. I was really broke. I did not have a proper guideline, so I worked so many jobs to sustain this like passion of mine. At that time, it was a business that wasn't making money. I think it took a little while for me to figure out, okay, clearly people are interested in this, but how do I make this sustainable? And at first I started with like, selling merchandise. And then I was doing I got really good at making videos and content. So I started doing this for other small businesses.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was also very tricky for me. And small businesses, especially restaurants, don't have that much money. Yeah. So it also wasn't something where I thought I could do this for longer. And then I think like within a few years, I started to get recognized by brands who wanted to advertise their food products or something about them to a larger market.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time now I had grown to have like tens of thousands of followers. So that's when I think I started to actually make money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was you give a few examples of what you were able to do, but what was the defining moment when you understood it could become your profession? Because as you said, you hustled, you had different jobs, etc.
yeah.
And I bet it was frustrating
Oh yeah.
to be working different job to keep that page alive.
Yeah.
But when was it that you understood you could move that to your profession?
I think it was maybe like literally like 4 years in.
Okay.
Okay. So like 2018, 2019, that's when I was like, oh, I can pay my rents.
Mm-hmm.
I can pay someone to help me. Like I can do these things. And so I started to make better content. I started to pitch tourism boards because I was always celebrating small businesses and local restaurants and gems in different cities. But these were not things that at that time were necessarily highlighted in mainstream media. Like I was going to like the mom and pop Black restaurants and things like that. So there was a gap there. And tourism boards were like, yeah, okay, you can show our city or our state to a new audience through its restaurant scene. We'll pay you to come to our city.
Okay.
We'll pay you to come here. And that's what I started doing.
Okay. And that was in Canada and the US?
Yes.
Or
Actually,
both
yeah,
countries?
It was both countries at that time. And then something crazy happened. The pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
The
yeah,
pandemic.
Of course, yeah. 2020,
and, yeah. And at that time, everybody's at home cooking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want recipes. So I was already on that tip. Like I was already making food. And then another thing happens where there's this real strong push to support small businesses, which was
especially after COVID, yeah.
Especially
during COVID.
During
yeah.
COVID, right? And that was already like a core part of my business was spotlighting these like small mom and pop shops and independent food businesses and startups. And so I remember like one of my first bigger deals was through American Express. They came to me and they're like, we're doing this like big campaign to support small businesses. And we want you to support, like, to show your favorite Black restaurant. And I was like, lit, that's exactly what I've been doing all this time. And I was like, okay. And then just things like that started to happen. And then, unfortunately, George Floyd gets murdered and it's recorded. And the whole country, you know, stops and looks to see what the U.S. is doing to Black people. And Black Lives Matter begins, like, or that movement now, like, you know, builds steam. And
you were already there.
I think, yeah, like I wasn't an
not
activist like them, but
yeah,
but I was already like paying attention to like, why don't we support our businesses? And there's gaps with it, you know. If they don't want to show us on Food Network, it's okay. We don't need them. We got us. Like there was already this kind of like, you know, thing that I was building where I was like, let's support each other and let's value where we come from and our food and putting money into Black restaurants. And so as this is happening now, there's all of these lists of like Black restaurants to go to, things to go to. And I was in Toronto and I'm seeing these like long lists with like different African restaurants. And I was like, what is the likelihood that this person is going to go to a Nigerian restaurant if they do not know what fufu is, or if they do not know what egusi is, or how are they really going to go on Uber Eats or you know, and look at these and order injera if they've never tried it before? They don't even know what it is. Yeah. So that's when I was like, oh, let me have a little festival. And I worked with the city of Toronto and did this whole like week celebration of Black restaurants. And I think that's when my business really started to grow because all of the things that were already important to me suddenly became important to bigger brands as well.
What in your journey, what did you consider as growth Was it the buzz that you had on the social media? Because you had quite a big community pretty quick. So was it the money telling you the growth, or was it your
well, money
followers?
helps for sure.
Yeah, of course.
But honestly, I feel like I'm growing right now.
Okay.
I feel like right now I have learned so much, and I feel like I'm just getting started.
Okay.
And it's almost been 10 years. So, well, it's been 9 years right now, but next year will be 10. So, growth, I would define it as like my mindset around my business. And I think I've like definitely changed the way I look at things. I changed how I feel success looks. And that to me, that's growth, because money will come. It actually does, but it can be hard to manage if you don't have the right, mindset.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I agree. What was the first? Well, I'm pretty sure you already mentioned several things, but what was the first moment that made you question if you should really do this or not? Was there a specific event or a specific moment beside obviously the money struggle? Was there a situation where you felt that your page was not welcomed in this food industry, for example?
So I think maybe fortunately and unfortunately, I got hate early on, day one, before I had any followers.
That's the best, honestly.
Yeah. So at that time when I wrote like a blog post on my site about my birthday a year later, and I named the restaurant, and it went sort of, it spread
Viral.
very fast. Yeah, in the city, not viral by viral standards, but in the city it did. And so people were like boycotting the restaurant, and then the restaurant was like, we're going to sue you. And then just people were, I got like local news coverage that was really whack. Like it was like a terrible one-sided report. And then I just got a bunch of people saying, this girl's playing the race card. Oh, and people were writing crazy things like, I was there at the restaurant. They're so loud. They're so ghetto. Things that like literally could never apply to me. Ever. and it was also a lot, like people were not there at that time. So I didn't know the internet. Like I used the internet, but I didn't understand how many people were on it. I didn't even know what Reddit was. I didn't know there were Reddit pages dedicated to me. Yeah. But like at that time, if you were Black and you talked about being treated differently because you were Black, people were ready to come for your neck. And there wasn't the same culture around being politically correct, which maybe is shifting now. But so what's my point here? Basically, I had people like, I had local news like coverage where it was pretty shady, and that was tough. And I didn't have any of the things that I have today. So it just, I'd never been bullied like that. Like it was
everything was new.
Everything was new. And I wasn't even a big, big influencers get bullied. But I was not that person. I was not anything in this world yet. So now when things happen, I'm like, I've already been through a lot. You can't phase me in the same way. Probably the most challenging thing has been, navigating like internal things, like being able to be resilient when you get a rejection from a big pitch, or when you have a tough struggle in your business that nobody else knows about, that you cannot publicize. Like that's the stuff that's like harder to get through, but I have built that up now.
You talked about American Express earlier. You collaborated with them. How do you pick your collaboration? Is there also, obviously, again, there's the money part, but more specifically on the values, etc. How do you make that choice?
I think in the past I just thought, okay, does this align? Is this real? You know, is this an interesting opportunity? Am I going to learn? Am I going to grow from this? Is this paying me well? And can I stand behind this? Those are questions I ask myself. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Because sometimes they ask you for a lot. So some of the deals I would have accepted then, I wouldn't do now. And some of the things I'm doing now, I probably wouldn't have done then because I didn't know how to. But in terms of how I do have a manager now, so I will assess, you know, things, because I actually have turned down money, which is hard to do, you know, especially when you work for yourself. But sometimes I'm like, it's not enough, or this, I don't want to be the face of this. So no, thank you.
Yeah.
You know?
But, well, I mean, it's very important that to be able to say no, because sometimes, obviously, because you need the money or you need to do that thing to get
to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. The next level, we might tend to make decisions that are not 100% with our values. But that's why I also ask you this question, because sometimes it's hard.
Sometimes it is hard, and sometimes you learn the hard way, because I don't want to act like I always made the right choice, but sometimes it's like simple, like things like, you know, being East African, a lot of us don't eat pork. Me, on the other hand, I eat pork sometimes, not all the time. But am I going to be ambassador for pork? No. Like, can I go ahead and eat some ribs every now and then? Yes. But like, I remember like this like business that did like bacon bits hit me up. And so it's not like some terrible thing. I was just like, I can't be the person promoting bacon bits, because that's not actually, I don't put that on my salad. So no, thank you. Things like that happen too, where it's just not a right fit. It's not necessarily bad. It's just not a right fit.
Have you ever, well, obviously you told me you went to Paris, etc. Does your Black Foodie mindset influence you when you travel? Does it even influence where you go when you travel? Are you trying to go to places where you want to discover food? When you go to Paris, are you going to African restaurant?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I did. That's all I ate in Paris and in London. It absolutely does impact how I travel. From day one, my sister worked for an airlines. I was on that buddy pass.
Wow.
And I was going around.
Who's your sister?
I know, not anymore. But and I was flying to like Quebec and going to DC and Chicago and all these places on this Canadian Airlines. And I would go there for food festivals. I'd go there for food events. That's how I think that's how I was also able to grow my brand without having a lot of money.
Yeah.
I had connections, or like I knew how to finesse. Then when it came to now, as I travel, yes, it's a big part of it, especially now. I'm really trying to be intentional. I already go back and forth between Canada and the US all the time. So if I'm traveling elsewhere, I want to make sure I maximize it. And I like to be around other people. Like I like to be comfortable, and I like to eat good food. And that happens in a lot of Caribbean islands and like Black cities. So that's where I want to go. Okay.
My next question, I mean, I could ask you a very common question, like, where do you see Black Foodie in 5 years? But I'm not really interested in that. I would like to ask you, and I would be more interested in asking you, what is that you deeply want to do with Black Foodie?
So many things. I think I want it to be a launch pad into so many incredible things with Black food and experiences around Black food. Right now, I just got a book deal.
Wow.
I'm really excited. Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much. I am very excited, and I'm excited to put something out there that has staying power. I think that I really actually believe, and I see it, and I know that some of the video content that I've made, some of the restaurants that I've promoted, like it's made an impact. It has left a lasting impression. And there are people that eat differently because of some of the things that I've shared. but I'm really excited to put out something a bit more permanent that they can have or they can gift to friends that will really be like a launch pad into Black food and give people a taste of like what I've experienced over the last decade. So that I'm very excited about. I'm just excited to take what I've been doing and bring it to the next level. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congrats on that book.
Thank you.
Hopefully they will ship it to
I got
to
you. It's going to go
Europe.
to Switzerland.
My next question is more on social media, because obviously that's your field. That's where everything happens for you. Mainly, you also have your website, but I guess that's where everything happens for Black Foodie. First of all, how's your, and I asked this question to every person that works with social media. How do you manage your relation with views, likes, comments, and the impact of your posts? Because I'm asking that because, and I'm also doing this, sometimes we spend a lot of time making content, and because it didn't reach what we expected, our perception of that content completely changed, because before pressing post, it's the best content you've ever done.
Yeah.
And after, sometimes you feel like, oh no, that's whack.
Yeah.
How do you manage, first of all, this relation with the views, the likes, and the impact of your posts?
I think being a business owner, any entrepreneur, you just have to have a healthy relationship with rejection and or failure. And none of us have any control over the algorithms or how things appear. It is so random at times.
Especially these last 6 months, personally, I struggle a lot more. But
yeah, so I mean, if I'd say just keep experimenting. I don't think, honestly, I don't care all the time. If it's something where I'm being, it's a collaboration with a brand, I do care because I want them to get the most bang for their buck. But I'm also not afraid to reshare things, repost things, put it up again, talk about it again. Because I'm like, oh, you're going to see this, you know? Yeah. So, and I also try not, it can be disappointing, but I try not to take it personal. And I think after a while, I've stopped because I've just had too many things where I'm like, I was in my pajamas and then this video went viral, literally. And then another video that I spent hours, had a production team that I did, poured energy into, could just not hit. And then, so my takeaway from that is like, okay, people really want like approachable content. They really want to, make it, they want something relatable. And I'm going to tweak some things when I produce something bigger next time.
Oh, yeah.
So just look at it as like feedback.
Yeah. I have a friend, and we'll come back to him a bit later, but I have a friend who has a hot sauce company.
Oh, okay.
And basically he said something something that spoke to me. Basically, if you post regularly, after 1 week you'll forget. So if you keep posting, it will always be easier to manage your relation with those likes, because something that disappointed you today, I mean, after 3 days, maybe you've posted 4 things, so you already forgot. So the key is maybe to keep posting.
That's true. Yeah, keep posting. Like if this is a routine, then you just know some of it's gonna click, some of it's not.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes going viral can be odd. Like it doesn't always lead to what you think it will.
Yeah, exactly.
Too. So it goes both ways. Like sometimes you get the clicks from the wrong people.
Yeah.
And I've experienced that. And I prefer them not seeing it, actually. Yeah. I want the people who want to see it to see it.
Do you create all your social media content yourself?
For the most part, now I do now. For bigger projects, like I will hire a videographer or somebody to like a photographer. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right now, though, it's interesting because people seem to be wanting the most like basic, like approachable on your phone, quick content. And so what I try to do now is I'm like, how can I make this more useful and like evergreen? Like I'm getting back to YouTube. I never cared about it before. Now I care. I'm thinking about a book. Like I'm thinking about like, how do I do things that have like staying power? Because it can be hard on Instagram and TikTok.
How do you feed your creativity? What do you look at other content creators? Is it going into the mountains in a house and trying to look for new ideas? What do you do to feed your creativity?
I don't know. I think definitely having other friends in this business is helpful. I think in the past I did have people that I was cool with and were like so helpful and nice, but I wasn't very close to them. Now I have like quite a few friends that are in this influencer game that I've actually have like really great friendships with, and it can be helpful to get advice from them. You know, sometimes they can push you in a way that your friends that are not in the space can, because they know, they're like, oh, you could edit that, you know, like they, that's helpful. What else is helpful? I do feel like naturally, I just want to, I want to do my best in this space. And so even though I have lulls sometimes where I'm like, I don't feel like editing, or life gets in the way, it will come back to you. So I think resting is good.
So as you know, I'm from Switzerland. Obviously, we also have a Black community in Switzerland, in France, etc. How would Black Foodie speak to those people? Why would I mean, I will obviously tell them to come follow you, etc. But
thank you.
Why is there something for them on the Black Foodie page?
Well, one, I think food is universal. So no matter what, especially if you're Black in Switzerland, I'm sure you're going to see some stuff you recognize. I'm assuming you might be Eritrean, Ethiopian, Nigerian, wherever. Like there's something there that you can relate to. I also, with Black Foodie, I've always wanted it to be global. And that's why travel has been a big thing for me. I went to Europe twice this summer. And,
wow, twice this summer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I want to go back again. Like it's important to me to showcase Black restaurants and Black events elsewhere. And because I'm also not American. Yeah. Like I might be in America, but I'm not American. And as much as it's shaped me, I'm always going to be Canadian. And I think because of that, I've always kind of had this like global perspective. So for the folks in Switzerland listening right now, please check it out, because I think there's some recipes, some inspiration you'll find. Or also you can put me on to some really great places and teach me how to say this food is great in German or French.
Well, I know you have some French words that you know, but we'll not go there. What's your favorite African food or Black food, beside I will take out injera out of this just to stay neutral?
Okay.
What are your top 3?
And it must be from the continents of Africa?
No.
Top 3?
Yeah.
Okay. So I love Jamaican food so much. And I feel like a big part of that is because I was in Toronto for so long, like a decade. There's a huge Jamaican community there. And I think some of the best Jamaican food in the world is actually in Toronto. So it would have to be like traditional, you know, rice and peas, brown stew chicken, fried plantain, Caribbean style coleslaw. There are also random things I like banana fritters, or just like their pepper sauce that they make. Like I just really enjoy it. And that's probably the food I go back to most. Then if I'm going to stay in the Caribbean, Haitian food. I love Haitian food. They make the best rice. Now if I'm going to travel back. You
said best rice, okay.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They have this like black rice.
It's a big debate.
It is a debate, but have you tried it?
No. Okay. Well, I have.
Yeah.
But the rice is always a big debate. Also with Nigerian and where is jollof from and etc.
Yeah, I think that debate is so tired now because I'm like, there's so much other rice that's pretty good, even better maybe, in Somalia. And
that's true.
They got the best rice too. Or if you go back to the Caribbean, Haitian black rice with the mushroom. I love that food. And then let's talk about Senegal, because I also think Senegalese food is
I was
incredible.
there last April.
You were?
Yeah.
What did you like?
Well, I love Senegalese foods.
Yeah.
So in French slang or Senegalese slang, we would call it tiep.
Yeah.
But tiepouchen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
So good.
Yeah, but also grilled fish and we ate everything. We ate mafe, we ate tiep, we ate grilled fish, we ate steak. So we had everything, but my favorite was tiep, of course.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lucky because we have Senegalese community, so I knew that food before going to Senegal.
That makes sense that they'd be in Switzerland. Yeah, I am so excited because I've never been to Senegal, and I'm going to go next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're going next year?
I'm going.
Yeah,
yes.
hit me up. I'll
I will. I actually really want your recommendations. But yeah, those are probably my top 3: Jamaican, Haitian, and Senegalese. Yeah.
Okay, very good. There's a question I want to come back. I forgot to ask you a few minutes ago. What do we see on the Black Foodie IG page? If I come randomly, what will I find?
Well, right now it's been kind of slow. I got to update some things. I have so much content. Doing this transition from Canada back to the US, back again. I've been back and forth. Was a lot. So there's so much that I need to share. So what you can expect to see is more recipes, some really cool travels from my time in London and Paris and Vienna. And
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then I want to just share more of my journey. So right now, for example, I am trying to learn how to make injera like a grown-up.
Well, that's the whole thing, because it's quite easy to make the different sauces, etc. The koro, etc. But making the injera is the real deal.
And I know you know a lot about that, right? Yeah. It's actually so hard. It's so simple. That's the thing. It's so it really is just like a couple of ingredients. It's the process and getting the right everything on it. That is hard. And especially for people that are East African, that will judge you to a higher standard than somebody else. So you're going to see more of those journeys to learn complicated dishes. I want to bring people in. That's the thing about Black Foodie. This is not some lofty thing where I'm like, this is how you make things and you don't know. I really want it to be let's learn about this together. Let's figure this out together. And that's what you're going to see more of on Black Foodie. So really cool restaurants, some great travel content, and some fun deep dives into our cultural recipes.
What was, and doesn't need to be only one, but the proudest moment for Black Foodie, for you specifically, actually? Because it could be 2 different moments.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
For different reasons. I'm going to tell you all 3.
Yeah, of course.
One, I got a shout out for being from Canada. I started off with, when I was starting Black Foodie, I was doing events during Caravana, this big carnival in Toronto. And then last year, the office of the Canadian Prime Minister, so that's the leader of Canada, hit me up and they're like, hey, can you show us Caribbean food?
Wow.
Can you show the Prime Minister some Caribbean food? And I led this whole production, worked with an amazing Jamaican chef, and it was in Scarborough, which is it's an area in Toronto where there is quite a few. It's a very diverse area of Toronto. There's a lot of Black folks, and it doesn't always get the recognition. And it was also completely like almost the entire, like I had to put this together in a very short amount of time. And I had my a talented Eritrean producer help me create this thing, and we put it together, and I interviewed the prime minister over some Caribbean food. Trudeau. Yeah, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
And the thing that they told us is there was a very short amount of time. So they're like, basically, you got to get this all in like one take. And I was there and I was just on. I didn't take any second takes. I just did everything. And it turned out so great. And I was like, damn, I work great under pressure. Like I didn't think, because there was quite a bit of like things to put together, and then like security thing, like there was just so much to consider. And as somebody who wants to grow in production and as a host, it was such an excellent test.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like, it was amazing to have the prime minister come and get to put Caribbean food on this platform.
Of course.
But another challenge that was great for me, just as a business owner, as talent, was just like managing this.
Yeah, of course.
And I had a wonderful team, and I think that was the thing I was like so proud of. I was like, whoa, we put this together. Mm-hmm. And I was able to do it, and I hadn't slept, and I was like, just had so much stuff going on. So it really kind of like showed me what I was capable of
mm-hmm.
when I have a great support system.
Mm-hmm. That's
so, true. And I felt that had been lacking for me for a while. Mm-hmm. So that was really great to like see, you know. Second moment, not at all like some big thing. It was just that I took time for myself after a very hard thing in my business. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm going to an island. I went by myself to St. Lucia. And while I was there, I had just got a bunch of calls for different mm-hmm. opportunities. And I realized I was like, oh, wow. Like if I just rest and like take care of myself, things will happen for me, mm-hmm. you know? And lastly, it was just most recently was the book deal that I just got this week, literally wow. like a couple of days ago, because it really gave me confirmation mm-hmm. That there's so much more potential for this. Mm-hmm. I'm just getting started. And I was so proud of the fact that I got it, because I wouldn't consider myself like a writer beforehand, but I've been telling stories like forever, and I have been writing. So that was a big moment too, to just be like, yo, we've got people that believe in you, and this is going to go big.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, just like this moment with this work that you did with the Prime Minister, pretty sure that if you find the right team to mm-hmm. help you, everything's going to go
exactly
as it should. I mean, yeah. I remember looking at watching this Trudeau moment on your page, and the first time I saw it, I was like, what? Wait, is it the Prime Minister eating Caribbean food? Yeah. And then you on it, I was like, okay, yeah, no, it's very good. I mean, congrats for that, and I hope it will go higher and higher. But as you said, if you have the right people, I think, around you, but also if you trust yourself.
Yeah, that's oh man, that's a big one. Yeah. I
mean, obviously the book deal, everybody can sign it, but can you really do it? Mm-hmm. I think that's what will shift the between good and average.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true, because I want to create something excellent that is useful for years to come, you know?
And memorable, I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we'll look forward looking at all these things happening. I hope you'll have more politicians that want to do this, because even though we don't I know, but at the end of the day, if they showcase new cultures and diversity, I mean, who are we to say? I mean, we might not be agreeing with their politic, but if it's for a greater good, why not?
That's true.
All right. Well, I think we went through all the things I wanted to discuss. I will slowly go to the final questions.
Okay.
And the first one is, if you had the opportunity to spend 1 hour with a personality, who would it be?
Like a current person, like a big person people recognize?
Sometimes someone maybe you look at you look up to or that inspires you?
You know, there are quite a few people that inspire me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'll choose a recognizable one. Issa Rae.
Yeah.
For sure. Issa Rae. Because of a couple of things. She makes amazing content and she is an amazing businesswoman. That's the thing. So she has to be able to like manage multiple things and have built a strong like army behind her. And I like that she pursues things that people might not think of right away. Like she's got like several coffee shops in LA. She has a wine brand. She has a production company. She has these hit shows. She's an actress. There's just so many different things. And I'm like, how do you do it? So she's got to have a good support system. And I'm always curious to know how people build that like team around their vision and how they manage like multiple passions, because I feel similar that I have a lot of things that I'm excited about, like that I'm interested in beyond Black Foodie or that are kind of like connected to Black Foodie.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I would love to speak to her about how she manages her time. Yeah.
Well, I officially challenge you to create that moment because I personally think you're not really far from that.
Oh, thank you.
So,
you know what? I met her one time. I got to tell you this story. I literally snuck into an event that was hosted by Amex. Hopefully they don't hear this. But this was there was like maybe like 2 years, maybe 1 or 2 years before I ended up getting the deal.
Oh, okay, before.
Which is funny, yeah. And it was only for people that were like on a special guest list. And I wasn't on that list, but me and my friend went. We were nice to the security. And then they recognized us when we came back and they let us in. And we just were like, hey. And we took a picture with her. She was so nice. I mean, I didn't get any airtime to ask these big questions. But yeah, so hopefully next time I'll get to have a proper business meeting.
What's your song of the moment?
My song is Tyla, Push to Start.
Yeah, okay.
I love her music.
It's funny because, and I'm not saying this to flex or whatever, but the first episode I did in English is with a Swiss photographer, and he's Tyler's photographer.
No way. Yeah. That's so cool. Look at that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Now you know. If you had an Instagram page to recommend?
I have so many. I have so many. I think it depends. It depends what you're into. But okay, let me think. I like motivational quotes and like so I think it's called We the Urban, you know, I follow them. I like getting that like daily dose of like inspiration. I'm going to shout out some of my friends in this space for food. I think Feed the Malik is great. She's also local to DC. Chima Eats, also from DC. In general, food, Habesha food, I think her Instagram is Tahai's Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know her, but I'm a fan. Like her stuff she makes such incredible Ethiopian food and she displays it in such a beautiful way. So beautiful. So I love watching her content. And Ballet Moya, another Habesha food Instagram page that they like platform other people. So they like repost other great creators. Then I like to laugh. So, man, I can't remember this comedian's name, but I like to follow comedians because I like to laugh when I'm on social media.
Okay, well, make sure you share all these pages with me so I can add them to the description of the episode. But yeah, if you had a question to the next guest, what would you ask him or her?
I would ask them, I think, questions that I'm currently thinking through, like how do you manage your time between working on the business and working in the business? I think hopefully I phrased that right.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like especially like being a content creator, you got to make content. Like you got to make things that people want to watch, but also you're a business person and you got to figure out how to keep brands paying or other streams of income coming in and how to build. So that's something that is a challenge. It can be a fun challenge, but I'd love to hear from other types of business owners. How do they manage like growing, but then also doing the actual work of their business?
It brings me to a question. How would you describe yourself as business owner? What type of business owner are you?
I would say that I am growing. That's what I'm going to say.
Well, there's no school for business owners, so...
Yeah, I think there's just things I've learned the hard way. I've actually learned quite a bit of things the hardest way. And now I want to borrow from other people's wisdom. I'm ready to learn the easy way. And yeah, I would describe myself as growing, and I would describe myself as like very certain about my values. Like I have learned that money is not everything. Yeah.
Very true. That was all my question, Eden. First of all, thank you a lot. Before I get to the end, I just want to shout out Helen, who was a co-producer on that episode. She helped me organizing all this and she linked us up. So thank you, Helen. And before we leave, obviously, I have some things for you.
What?
Yeah, I have a few gifts for you.
Oh my God, thank you.
So,
I was wondering what the bag was. I thought you were going to have snacks. Like I was like, oh, is he?
Nah, first of all, I come from Switzerland, so I got you Swiss chocolate.
Thank you so much.
This is for you. But
I was thinking about chocolate. Wow. Oh, you came ready to give gifts. You're like Santa Claus today. Okay.
So I also have, I mentioned in the episode, I mentioned my friend Jason, who's got his hot sauce company.
Yeah.
And I know you like. I
love hot sauce.
So wait, I'm struggling right now to do two things at the same time, but I'll just take the products.
I really do love hot sauce, and I collect hot sauce.
So the first product that I have for you is so his brand is LVDD. It's in Switzerland, so lvdd.ch. He's distributed in one of the big shops in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And this first product is a spicy salt.
Oh.
And you'll have all the description, but it's in French, but you'll Google translate it.
Beautiful packaging too.
So that's the first product. And the second product I have for you, the second product is a smoked coffee spice that he created. So he did several tests, and it's it's smoked coffee. It's a bit surprising when you think about it, but it works really, really good with red meat.
Oh,
so
okay.
Here's for you.
That's so interesting.
Hopefully one day he's gonna make it to the US.
Yeah. I'm just gonna smell it.
Of course.
Ooh. I'm testing out my French knowledge. Because the thing is, in Canada, everything is packaged. It must be written in French and English.
Yeah. Well, we in our region we speak French, and obviously he could do it in German, but German speak also French. So
yeah.
Then you have the two first products that he created, which are literally hot sauce. So this one is called sweet. Well, no, let me start with this one. Sorry.
Does he come from like a specific cultural group, or he's creative?
Yeah, he's Congolese and Angolese.
Ah.
So he has the magic drop and the sweet mustard. So the magic drop was the first product he created, and the sweet mustard is, as you know, is the as he says, the little sister of magic drop. So it's the same base, but he added a little twist with mustard and honey.
I'm gonna eat this today.
Yeah,
like I can't wait to make chicken.
And finally, the last product is, when we were going to pizza place, we always ask for hot sauce, and it's either they give you a shitty hot sauce or a hot sauce that is way too hot, and then you don't enjoy the pizza anymore. Yeah. So that's how he created the pizza booster. That is influence. Say again.
A chili oil type thing?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's the base is olive oil, and then as you can see, you have different herbs, different things, smoked garlic inside of it. Well, you'll try everything. So,
wow.
So here's for you, Eden.
This is such a great gift.
Well, I had to. You gave me.
Thank you.
Some of your time.
To meet you. By the way, everybody watching, if this is still going, Abby was supporting from day one. For real. I really remember on Instagram. So it's nice to meet you in person.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
I knew it would happen, so I've been patient, and here we are. And when you'll get the 1 million followers or 10 millions or 50 millions,
thank you.
We'll have a discussion again to see how you manage that growing moment.
Thank you. And we're going to be on this pop-in platform that brings Black Swiss urban media to the front.
Exactly. Well, Eden, thank you a lot. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your experience. I really hope that the audience will come and follow you. The page is really easy. It's Black Foodie on IG. Yeah, no space.
Blackfoodie.co. .co,
that's true, yeah.
And Eden the Foodie too, if you want to
follow. Your personal account. And the website is?
Blackfoodie.co.
Okay, perfect. So you have everything. Thank you again. And I'll just take a few seconds to thank everyone who helped me to organize this. So Helen, shout out to you. Shout out to Cessan too, because she's the one who introduced me to your page. Yeah. So shout out to all these people. And my US store is not done yet. I still have a few episodes to record. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, Eden.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.